Alright, so in this video, I'm going to be talking about the experiences that I've had with racism and the racism that I've faced in primary school, high school, and college in Australia. I'm going to be very vulnerable in this video. This is the most vulnerable I'll be in any video I've posted on this YouTube channel so far. And if you can relate to this, then I'm very sorry. When I was 9 years old, I moved from India to Australia. Not just me, obviously, my family as well. We moved from India to Australia in 2017. And I would have been in year 4 at this point. So I was in year 4. This would have been primary school, and the first 3 years of being in this country in school was awesome. Year 4, year 5, and year 6, these are all primary school years. I was having so much fun. It was so easy to make friends, obviously because we're all young and like we don't really question anything. We just become friends immediately. So like it was very fun. It was very, very fun. This is probably the best 3 years I've had in terms of friendships and school. Sometimes maybe I would get into like bullying. Like sometimes I'd run into some people that just didn't really like me, whether that was because of my skin color or just because they just didn't like me, maybe because I was skinny. I don't know. I maybe ran into like 2 or 3 issues in the entire 3 years, but luckily I was able to find a good group of friends that really, really liked me. We would play like Fortnite and stuff like that in 2018. In 2019. It was great. Primary school was awesome. And we would have been like around 10, 11, 12 years old. Then we moved on from primary school to high school. And this is where things basically started to go all downhill for me. Obviously, high school, I started to meet new people. Like me and my close group of friends that we'd formed in primary school, we started to meet new people in high school. And they were from all across other primary schools in the state that I live in. I wasn't too popular, but like I would still, talk to people. We were still pretty young, so we would still make friends pretty quickly. Except now, when we were like 12, 13 years old at this point, people just started to become more like closed-minded and like they didn't like difference. You can probably connect the dots here. They saw that I was brown, everyone else was like white. There was like not a single other brown person. There were like Asian people in my school and stuff. There was like I think 1 or 2 black people. Most of them were white, maybe a couple there are a few Asian people as well. I know I'm Asian as well. I'm Indian. I'm Asian as well, but like at that point, I don't think anyone really cared. They just saw me as brown and they just ripped into me basically. Yeah, in the beginning it wasn't terrible, like the racism that I was experiencing. It was just the fact that I was getting called out. Like I was being made fun of as the brown person. I have this very distinct memory of like someone calling me a piece of shit. And I was like, oh yeah, that's, they're calling me a piece of shit because I'm, they're just, just making a joke or whatever. But they actually called me that because I'm brown, not because they were just saying you're a piece of shit because I was a piece of shit. It was because I was brown. That's why they said it. And then, people would start laughing and like, it just made me feel very excluded. And I was a very quiet person. I still am a very quiet person. So like, it just doesn't feel very good when you're the only person being called out and everyone else is laughing at you, not even with you, at you. And again, we were like kids, so like we didn't really know what was right, what was wrong. And it eventually got worse. It kept getting worse. It went from just, couple lighthearted jokes about me, like not even like me being Indian or anything. It was just the fact that I was a different skin color. But then, I started running into cases where like people would call me the N-word, people would call me black child, people would call me terrorist, like all these completely different names. For some reason, like everyone just thought I was black. Like most people that, were making racist like remarks towards me, like they thought I was black, which is like I'm not black. But they would call me the N-word and stuff. Then they'd be like, you can say the N-word, you're black, you're dark enough. And I was like, I don't think I can. Like I'm not black, I'm brown. Like how, and by the way, they didn't care. Like everyone in year 7, year 8, year 9 was saying the N-word. But anyway, that's another completely different thing. I remember people calling me their shadow because like I'm the only dark one there. It wasn't even really about the fact that I was brown or I was black. It was just because I was a different skin color. It was just because I was not white. Yeah, I remember at the end of year 7, I literally started Googling like how to change my skin color, like how to become white and I went down the rabbit hole. I went through like Reddit, I went through Quora. I did so much research. I still have like some bookmarked tabs for how to change your skin color. It's very very sad when you think about it. I remember one night I went outside when like my whole family was sleeping. One website suggested that I get lemon and I like cut it and then like rub it all across my skin. There was another one where it was like coffee beans and like ginger and they mix up. I don't honestly. This is very like hard to just talk about because no 12-year-old should go through that. That I mean, it just what hurt the most is the fact that everyone would just sort of laugh. Like one person would make a joke, and then everyone would just like sort of laugh to themselves, like as if I wasn't right there, as if I couldn't hear them laughing. The number of friends that I had that wouldn't make those jokes compared to the people that did, that ratio started getting way lesser. So like the people who would make those jokes overpowered the people who wouldn't. And it got to a point where I just felt completely isolated and boxed in. And even the friends who didn't make those jokes before in primary school and stuff now started making those jokes to like fit in. And yeah, this continued on for like the next 3 years. You know, obviously 2020 and then 2021. 2021 was the worst year I think it happened. It was, you know, it was there. I went through 2022 and definitely a little bit of 2023, maybe like half of 2023 as well. Just every single day, I'd, you know, go to school, everything would be going great. Like I'd be having fun, right? Like I'd be having a good laugh with my friends, everything would be great. And then immediately, as soon as, you know, the spotlight was directed towards me, someone would make a joke, and then immediately my day would just be ruined. Like no matter how good that day was, even if just one joke was made toward me, then I would just immediately think, oh, well, today was a bad day. Because no matter how much fun I had that day, just that one joke would completely offset everything, and that'd be the only thing I would think about for the rest of the day, basically. I basically realized sometime in 2023, maybe like halfway through, I can't be friends with these people anymore, especially when we go into college, which is basically like the time between high school and university. I realized I'm not going to be able to be friends with these people in college because they're just terrible people, right? But it was still 6 months until high school ended. We still had half that last year. So basically what I did was I was like, okay, well, I could either leave, but like I didn't have the courage to leave back then because like imagine you've been in this friend group for like so long and then you're trying to leave like 6 months before high school ends. Like I didn't want to do that. Or I could just stay, but I obviously didn't want to stay, so I just thought, okay, what if I just become more distant? Water break. What if I just, you know, instead of replying to the group chats and stuff like that, I just sort of keep my distance as much as I can. I honestly thought this would make things worse because, you know, I'm not as, you know, reciprocative. That is not a word. I'm not, you know, talking to them as much, so they would, you know, get more angry at me and they would, you know, hate me more for that. But I actually did the exact opposite. Those people completely stopped making those racist jokes towards me, like 99% down. I mean, these people were still definitely bad people, still definitely making like racist jokes and being racist people in general, but like at least the stuff that was directed to me basically completely stopped. So at least like the last sort of stretch of high school was fine, but I still basically had this, you know, thought of like I still need to leave these friends. Like I can't be friends with these people in college. And so it's, you know, when college came like a couple months later, I I left everyone basically. I just kind of secretly left. It took a while, but eventually I was able to basically just leave everyone and just try to find new friends, even though I didn't really find new friends. I was just kind of alone most of the time, but I would still take being alone over being with those people. Like I was still definitely happier. I wasn't happy, but I was happier knowing that I didn't have to go through this thing of like going to school, having a good day, and then someone making a racist joke, and then my entire day would just be derailed. It was so nice not having to think about that because I was going through so many issues in college about like studying and loneliness and um mental health and all this shit, that I'm very glad that I didn't have another thing to worry about. Now in 2025, not 2024, in 2024 I was completely on this one alone. This would have been year 11. But in year 12, the year after that, I joined another friend group. I actually made new friends and I was like, okay, this is sweet. Like, these people actually seem nice. And I genuinely thought that would be the first time I make like an actual decent group of friends since primary school, since 2018, 2019. Turns out these people were also racist people. And not really towards me, but there was one guy in particular. If you're watching this, I don't like you. I can't believe I just said that. He was kind of racist towards me. Not really racist. He would just make unfunny jokes that would never land. Other than that, like, everyone else in the group was also just racist. Like, not to me, but they were just racist people. And I basically had to deal with them from like early year 12 to the ending of year 12. And that brings us today, where I have left those friends as well. It was kind of easy because now we were all in university and all have like different life paths anyway. So like, I didn't really have to leave as such. I'm just not. I'm just choosing not to talk to them and not, choosing not to initiate conversations and stuff like that. Oh, and last thing I want to say, those racist jokes that were made to me in 2025, I didn't feel nearly as bad as I did in high school. Like, high school, one person would make a racist joke towards me, and like, I would just like laugh it off in high school. I'd be like, yeah, good joke. But then I would hate it. Like, in my mind, I'm literally just hating everything. I'm just full of despair. But in college, every time someone would make a racist joke to me, I didn't feel nearly as bad. It was still weird and uncomfortable, and I just wish it never would have happened. But I didn't feel nearly as bad in college compared to high school. And for the longest time, I thought, oh, it's just because I've grown and I've grown up and matured, right? But I genuinely think it's because I just got desensitized to it. I genuinely think there was no growing up or anything. I've just been desensitized to like racist jokes that are made towards me. So yeah, if you're in a similar situation, my advice would be leave these people like immediately, like today, like right now. Just text them right now saying, I'm no longer friends with you guys. Because you might be thinking, oh, I need to go through this because this is part of this is part of the plan. This is this will help me become a better person in the future. No, it won't. These friends will give you nothing but trauma. And they won't make you into a better person. Like, I always thought for the longest time, oh, I'm glad I had these friends because then I was able to leave them and I learned all these valuable lessons. I didn't learn anything. If the only thing those people gave me was trauma. Now I don't feel like making friends that as much as I probably would have if those things never happened to me. There are better people out there. Okay, it sounds weird for me to say that because I don't even really believe it anymore. But there are better people out there. There are people out there who won't make fun of you just because you have a darker complexion. There are people who genuinely like you for who you are and won't single you out, even though it's not racist. They like just making fun of you or singling you out is still, in my opinion, terrible. And there are people who won't do that. So if you're thinking, oh, but I've had so many fun moments with these friends, I've had so many laughs with these friends, just leave them, honestly. Anyway, that's about it. I hope you don't relate to this video because I don't want anyone to go through what I did. But if you did go through it, I hope this video helped in some way.